Subscribe.
Hi everybody and welcome. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. Now again is another special video because I have one of my actual students with me, Ed. He's 8 years old. He's been playing the piano for approximately about a year and a half, maybe just a little bit over a year and a half. He came to me from complete scratch, so everything he knows is everything I've taught him. He hadn't had a single music lesson prior to coming here for the piano. And he's currently working on his ABRSM grade 5, which he'll either take at the end of this year or March 2013. So this is a video on sight reading. Now I have done a video on sight reading, so I'll put a link coming up somewhere here so you can click and watch that video now. But I thought I would kind of do an almost follow-on video on that where I would perhaps put those sight reading hints and tips kind of into action with you. So one, you can see how I'm actually teaching that to a student. So I know some of you, I know that's going to help quite a few of you out there as well. But two, instead of me applying all those kind of hints and tips and techniques about sight reading, I thought you could actually see it kind of working in action, so you can see it from a student's point of view, or you can see it from how your own point of view would be, rather than me telling you how to do it. That's one point of view from a teacher and someone who's been playing for 25, 26 or so years, but also you could actually see those hints and tips working and how I teach it, how Ed responds and all that kind of thing. So there's three things to remember with sight reading. You've got the examiner, or whenever you're doing sight reading for exams or for whatever situation, especially if you're doing an exam, you'll be marked on three things. So the accuracy of your notes, the accuracy of the rhythm, and keeping going, which is your golden rule. Always keep going. The golden rule to sight reading is to always keep going, but the key to sight reading is to always look ahead. And that can sometimes be easier said than done. So first off, I'm going to give Ed a piece of sight reading. This is from the ABRSM book that he's got here. He's been looking at it now as I've been talking to you on the video, but I can honestly say to you that he hasn't actually played it. So you haven't played this, have you?
No.
No, he hasn't played this at all. So hand on heart, I can say he hasn't played it, so this isn't going to be fixed or anything. So I have no idea what the outcome of this is going to be, but I'm going to get him to play one of the exercises from this book here, and then we'll take it from there and have a chat about it then. Okay, go for it. Thank you. This isn't, I might like to add, this isn't when I'm marking for actual London College of Music examinations. So this isn't how I mark students' tests, but this is how I explain sight reading to students only, just in the comfort of my own lesson, to kind of get my point across. So I always say to students, there are three things that the examiner's looking for, or three things you need to think about in sight reading: the accuracy of your notes, the accuracy of your rhythm, and the keeping going. So did you stop, start, hesitate, all that kind of thing. And all three things really kind of go hand in hand. So if you try and go back and correct some of your notes, then you've messed up the rhythm. If you've messed up the rhythm a little bit, then you've stopped and started. If you go back over to the bar, back over at the beginning of the bar, not only have you stopped and started, but you've got the notes wrong originally, hence you've gone back to the beginning. So you're getting yourself all in all sorts of knots and twists and like all that kind of thing. So I like to think of it as, let's just say, you get 10 points for the accuracy of your notes, you get 10 points for the accuracy of your rhythm, and you get 10 points for keeping going. Now, let's just see what we'd give Ed out of 30. So the accuracy of his notes. Well, I can tell you that the accuracy of his notes was actually not too bad at all. He did have to correct a few F sharps, if you might have noticed there, but generally the accuracy of his notes was pretty good. So let's just say let's give him a 7 out of 10 for the accuracy of the notes. The accuracy of the rhythm, well, he was playing it very, very slow. This actually says allegretto. He was playing this very, very slow. There was no real pulse. There was no beat there. It was in a 6/8, so we didn't have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We didn't have any of that going on. So in terms of rhythm, we probably can't really give him anything because he didn't put any rests in. He didn't put the dotted crotchets in and all that kind of stuff. So I'd probably say nothing for rhythm. Keeping going, well, yes, he did keep going, but he also had a lot of stumbles. He also had a lot of hesitations. He also went back over notes a lot. So, you know, let's see if we can give him, say, maybe 5 for that. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 out of 30. So that doesn't actually sound very much to get 12 out of 30. So after I've explained that to the student, what I will do then is have a go myself. Now, this is from the grade, I think this is grade 4. Yeah, this is grade 4 sight reading. So obviously I can do grade 4 sight reading, but I'm about to prove a point here, which if you just stick with me, then it will all make sense at the end. So remember, you've got accuracy of the notes, you've got accuracy of the rhythm, and you've got whether you're keeping or going, starting, stopping, hesitation, all that kind of thing. Now all 3 things do go a little bit hand in hand, but I'm about to demonstrate something here. So this would be my attempt at doing this sight reading. So if you just sit back a little bit so that people can see. Yeah, that's perfect. So this is my attempt at the sight reading. Okay, so I know that was hideously all wrong. I'm just proving a point. So here is my point. So, okay, let's mark me out of 30 for exactly what I've just done in an exam here. So, accuracy of the notes. What would you say I got for the accuracy of the notes? Out of 10.
I'll say about
9? 9?
Yeah.
Okay, Ed thinks 9. I didn't actually get any of the notes right because I was proving a point, because I was pretty much just playing anything on the piano. So I would say that I got nothing, and you'd probably all agree, absolutely nothing out of 10, because I was just playing just a bunch of gibberish notes. So absolutely nothing out of 10 for the accuracy of the notes. Yeah, nothing. Accuracy of the rhythm. Well, actually, my rhythm was spot on. I did exactly what the rhythm said there. And the fact is that I was sacrificing the notes to get the rhythm out, but my rhythm was absolutely perfect there. So believe it or not, the notes were all hideously wrong, but my rhythm was exactly as it states on the music. So 10 out of 10 for the rhythm. Now, keeping going, stopping, starting, hesitating. Did I hesitate anywhere?
No.
Did I stop or start or anything? No. So
10 out of 10.
So yeah, thank you. 10 out of 10 for that. So I've got 10 out of 10 for keeping going. I've got 10 out of 10 for the accuracy of the rhythm, but I've got nothing for the accuracy of the notes. Now you add that all up and that gives me 20 out of 30. So yeah, it sounded hideous and it sounded horrible, but I've got 20 out of 30, and poor little Ed here only had, what, 12 out of 30, was it? So you can see the massive difference. So even though he tried to get his notes correct, and he did have more correct notes than me, because he tried to get the correct notes, and because he was so desperate to do that, he let his rhythm go, which dropped him 10 marks, and he also let his, keeping going, stopping, starting, hesitating go. So he lost himself 10 marks there. So I got 20 for the rubbish, really, that I produced, and he got 12 for actually kind of, bless him, for kind of trying to play what it says on the music. So my point really is that when you're doing sight reading is an actual art itself. You have to get used to just the sight reading, and the whole point of sight reading is to really to get from start to finish without hesitating, stopping and starting. Now I know you're going to be making lots of mistakes in there, but that's what your practice is for. That's why you have to do 3 pieces for your exam, because you've spent 6 months, 10 months, a year working on them, and that's the fruits of you working for them for 6 months to a year on them. Sight reading is a whole different art. Sight reading, you're not trying to compress 6 months to a year into a piece of sight reading. It is sight reading. So really, once you get your head around the fact that sight reading is sight reading and that it doesn't have to be perfect straight away, then you can really get good at doing sight reading. So what Ed should really have done here is to not worry so much about the accuracy of the notes, but worry more about trying to keep a rhythm and trying to keep it going, and just trying to get something out there. If he can't read the notes quickly enough, well, tough. He just plays anything. It doesn't matter. Because he's too busy fumbling about trying to find the right note, he's dropping marks because he's hesitating and he's stopping and he's starting, and that means his rhythm's all gone to pot and all that kind of thing. So when you're doing sight reading, I always say that it's better to probably sacrifice the accuracy of the notes to try and push that rhythm forward and to try and keep going, exactly as I did. Now, I was working to the complete extreme and I was playing a load of rubbish, and you wouldn't do something that inaccurate in an exam. You wouldn't take what I've said so literal. But what you would try and do is just try your absolute best to try and get out as many notes as accurately as possible. But I was just using that as just an example, so you can see that by not looking at the actual notes, I was picking up really good marks for my rhythm because I kept a good pulse and I didn't hesitate or stop or start or anything like that. So I'm going to get Ed to have another go at doing the sight reading, bearing in mind obviously what I've been trying to tell you and what I've just told him now. So we'll get him to have another go at the sight reading and we'll see if it gets any better. Keep pushing it forward. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. From here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Anything this line. 1, 2, 3, 1. Rest, 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 rest. Play, play. Anything, rest, play, play. Okay, so I was pushing him on there. So as a teacher, you should be pushing your student on. Now that's very difficult when you don't have anybody there, but again, you could use a metronome to try and help you into hurrying that, but you really have to get out of your mind that you have to get things perfect first time, and human nature has a temptation of wanting to get everything perfect all the time. But in the instance of sight reading, it really is just trying to get a feel for the music, trying to get from start to finish. And then, in theory, if it wasn't an isolated piece of sight reading for the exam and you were using it as, perhaps you were choosing your pieces in your exam or whatever, you would then treat it as a piece of sight reading, but then you'd go back over it and work over those little bits. But it's quite nice to start with, not to try and get everything correct the first time, because that's very time consuming. And again, the better you are at sight reading, the faster you're going to be at learning new pieces and that sort of thing. So I'm going to get Ed to do it again because he still hasn't quite got that concept of trying to get the notes right. He needs to really get out of his head that he has to get the right note. He has to get the correct rhythm first. So I'm going to I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on it. All my students hate it when I do this because it stresses them, but my teacher used to do it to me. I'm doing it to my students. It really, really does work, and I used to hate sight reading my lessons because my teacher used to go mad and come on, the next bit. He used to shout at me all the time, but it's so worth it, and it's the way it should be. So I'm going to try and put a little bit of pressure on him if needs be to try and help push him forward. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, anything, any note, 2, 3, that's it, 1, 2, 3, 1, rest, 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 anything, play. Okay, so that was still, the last attempt that Ed did there was still much better than the first attempt he had, because at least he tried to keep something going. So, you know, this is one example of sight reading. I honestly haven't done any sight reading for Ed for quite a while now, because we've been working on a few other things and this, that and the other. So, you know, we'd go away and we'd do that with a few more exercises. But the good news with sight reading is that you can get very good very, very quickly. So, I mean, I'm talking like in a matter of hours, you can increase your sight reading ability. If you, another good suggestion is that if you just pick yourself up a random book, something that's maybe a grade below what you're actually working on at the moment. So you're not just picking up an actual sight reading, dedicated sight reading book. So if you think you're approximately a grade 3, try and pick up something that's a grade 2, that's a book that's just got lots of classical pieces in, or anything that you like. Sit down at the piano, give yourself a spare kind of half an hour to an hour. Go from the start of the book and work your way through the pieces till you get to the end. Play them through once, maximum twice, and then move on to the next one. Play that once or twice, move on to the next one, and you'll find by the time you get to the end of that book, you will be so much better at sight reading than you were when you started the first piece at the front of the book. So thanks very much for watching. I really hope that's kind of helped you a little bit with sight reading. At the end of the day, sight reading is what sight reading is, and whether I'm an examiner or not, I still don't know what my students are going to get in the exam. So I can help them with a few hints and tips, but ultimately it is up to you, or it is up to the student with sight reading. Sight reading is the point. You don't know what you're going to get until you get it, but you can get better at it, and you can help yourself out and by reading ahead and keeping it going and using all those tips today. So I hope this has been informative to you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like my videos and want to see more, and I'll catch you all next time.
Subscribe.